Let's talk about Miami FC. Yeah, Miami FC's got some big news coming out. We have to discuss. Wait a minute. No, not this Miami FC. No. Not the Miami FC from 2006 to 2010, who then later became the Fort Lauderdale Strikers and existed all the way up to 2016. No. Not this Miami FC. The Miami FC. Now that I'm dressed appropriately, let's get into who the Miami FC is. Miami FC started in 2016 playing in the NASL, played there for 2 seasons before bouncing around to several other leagues and finally ending up in the USL Championship, which is one level below MLS and Inter Miami. So Inter Miami being their competition here in South Florida, Miami FC has decided to pack their bags and move south a little bit, just a little bit further south to Homestead, about 35 miles south of where they are currently playing at FIU Stadium, kind of also known as Pitbull Stadium, on the FIU college grounds. Now, Miami FC is making this move, obviously, because they still want to grow and they want to expand, but they also need to try to find a steady fan base. That's something that Miami FC has struggled with from the very beginning. I was at the very first Miami FC game that had over 10,000 people in it. Great crowd, amazing. But they've struggled since then. And, it hasn't been easy for them. NASL folded. They had to bounce around in NISA and all these other things. But they're now, they've got some solid footing in USL Championship. Now, I say solid footing, USL is solid. Miami FC has struggled, like I mentioned, to get some fans in the stands. They average about 1,000 people per game, and that's being generous. But now moving further south, they could potentially become more of a community club, a cheaper option for those folks that are living in Homestead. And with these plans to build a huge facility with partners in SPH, and we'll get into SPH in just a minute. They are building a big sports performance hub, a academy of sorts for multiple sports, mainly focused in soccer, as obviously with a soccer stadium, a big anchor tenant there with Miami FC. But they will also have academies for tennis, basketball, football, maybe baseball. As you can see, there are baseball fields there. This will be located next to an Air Force base, a reserve Air Force base, I believe, right here on a nice waterfront property. Now, keep in mind, these are renderings, and renderings tend to change over time. So let's hope this is actually what we get to see when they finish. But this is great because Miami FC, like I said, has struggled really to get a foothold in South Florida soccer market. But that has never stopped Ricardo Silva, the owner of Miami FC, from continuing to invest in this club. And this is no different as we get a little bit closer into this stadium. And it's a beauty. It is a smaller stadium at 15,000. Now, this stadium, when they first announced it on the SPH website a little while ago, was talking about a 10,000 seat stadium. They've now increased it to 15. Now, 15,000 seems like a lot when you're only averaging 1,000, but they obviously have hopes of maybe further integrating themselves in the local community to increase that. And also, being so tightly associated with an academy, you're hoping to get, all those academy kids and parents and families and all that stuff to come out to these games. But the main reason they're going from 10 to 15,000 is because of what I mentioned before, the promotion and relegation. So the D1 standards require a minimum of 15,000 seat stadiums in the United States to be sanctioned as D1. So USL is going to be applying for D1 sanctioning for their promotion relegation. Now, we don't know where Miami FC will end up. I would think that maybe with the amount of fans that they currently have and the quality of the team currently, that they would maybe stay in the current championship that they are with the hopes of graduating up to the first division. But we don't know that yet. They do have a facility here that will accommodate D1. And it's a beautiful stadium here. It is obviously going to be a much simpler stadium compared to what Inter Miami is building next to the Miami International Airport. Probably very metal stance, maybe a little more similar to what Inter Miami built in Fort Lauderdale, at Chase Stadium. So maybe it's a little more similar. But this has got a really nice weenie, if you will, here in the end. I call it a weenie. Being a Disney fan, that's what you call something like that draws your attention. And that would be, it's a hotel. They've got a hotel on one end of the stadium. You could spend the night in a hotel with this as your view. How great is that? Now, obviously, this hotel is probably intended for events, but I'm just thinking if I wanted to go to a game and sit in a hotel and get a better view, you could. Look at this. And now we could even zoom in here and get a better look. And this is how you could obviously tell this is a hotel. There's a pool right here. And these are obviously all the rooms. How awesome is that? How many stadiums can you think of that have a hotel overlooking the grounds? I mean, that's beautiful. It doesn't get much better than that. And this, again, is a second division stadium for a team that struggles to grab fans. Will a stadium like this entice people to come to the stadium, to get behind this team? It's possible. If they build it, will they come? I mean, that's really the big question here. Zoomed out, we see all those other fields. Again, another view of the stadium up against the water. Now, this stadium will also be used for the rodeo. So they're signing a contract to get the rodeo in there as well. So obviously that will be on days that, or off season for Miami FC, because that you would assume tear up that field. But that is part of this plan. Here we get a beautiful view of what it may look like at night. And again, just the big zoomed out shot. And over here, just above my head, you can see some buildings. And that is actually going to be where they're going to have some housing. So this is definitely going to be a pretty neat project for that Miami FC is a part of. And let's, like I said, let's get into who Sports Performance Hub is. So from the soccer perspective, who are the guys leading the soccer charge? Who owns Sports Performance Hub? You know the name. Juan Sebastian Veron is one of the key owners and stakeholders here. Argentine national team. You guys all know who he is. You may or may not know Dario Sala, but Dario Sala, I came to know him as a goalkeeper for FC Dallas. He played over 5 or 6 seasons. So another Argentine. This is very heavily Argentine ownerships. And then Ricardo Silva, as I mentioned before, the primary owner for Miami FC, is now also a partner in this larger project. So this project reminds me a lot of the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, where you saw so many young soccer players growing up and becoming stars. I think there are a lot of the names that we used to know on the national team came through IMG. I don't know if they still are, but this to me looks like something similar. But as I mentioned, it's not just soccer. They will have basketball, some more names you may know. I know the name Ginobili. I've heard of that guy. I'm not really familiar with Juan Ignacio Sanchez, but I am not the biggest basketball fan. Some tennis stars, you might recognize some of these names. These are all people that are involved in the ownership group and also just making this happen. From the football side, Martin Gramatica, Super Bowl champion, and he was kicker with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So some more Florida ties. So as we scroll back up, we can see the images that I showed, but this is really everything that they're going to be bringing to this facility. Coaching, state-of-the-art facilities, comprehensive programs, sports community, global reach, and professional teams. So now they're going to have the ability with this site plan to really now Miami FC's already been in the academy business, right? They've got their academy, but now, before they could say, all right, you grow up through the academy and you play for Miami FC. So that's still going to be the case. But now these are students that are players, kids that are going to be living and breathing the sport like 24/7. They have housing where they will live there. They will have schools, so they're getting their education, but it's all surrounded around their sport. So can be nothing but good for Miami FC and for South Florida. So I ask you, will you get behind Miami FC? If they build it, will you go? I know I will check it out. I am a stadium nerd. I will definitely go and check this out and see, it's got to be improved. I mean, I really dislike going to games at FIU Stadium. And hopefully it's natural grass because FIU Stadium's awful, awful turf. So and I think what's really going to be key for Miami FC is tying into the local community. Stop trying to say you are the 305 original team. Like they get behind being Miami's team. No, be Homestead's team and really dig into the community. Be the alternative to Inter Miami. Inter Miami is expensive to go to the games. So if you could be the cheaper, more affordable option that brings high quality football to the local community, this could be successful. I think at the end of the day, whether they fill the stands or not, this is potentially very successful because youth sports is a very good business to be in. Pay to play, guys. It's a very good business. So let me know the thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this stadium? Like I said, it's on the water and it looks beautiful. So thanks everybody for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And let's talk about this in the comments. See ya.